Hey there, my name is Shane Craddock, and this is the Inner Edge podcast, where I share a different take on how to lead and live a sustainable, high-performance life. Over the course of different episodes, I'm going to challenge the belief that tension, stress, and struggle are essential to success and creativity. My experience is that there's an easier way, there's a better way, and indeed there's an essential way that we need to explore for the times that we live in. So let's go ahead, let's jump in and explore.
They say that the first step to solving a problem is recognizing that there is a problem, that you have a problem. But what if there's a problem that maybe most of us just don't see at the moment? And I'm going to call this episode The Hidden Burnout. In a way, it's a hidden, massive problem, I think, of our time that is related to the speed of your thinking increasing. And I feel at the moment we're a bit like the frogs in the pot of water that's slowly heating up, and that maybe it'll be too late before we get scalded. But more and more we're using AI software, which is phenomenal. And it's, in a way, I look at these AI tools, AI software, as ways of optimizing cognition, the ability to think. And without a doubt, you can actually, I did something last week myself that I did in 1 hour, what probably would have taken me 7 days. The speed is just incredible. But have you noticed that as you're interacting more and more with these tools, and even just in general, life seems to be speeding up? And I wonder, would you be open to kind of looking in a slightly different direction, that maybe the actual issue is that our minds are actually going faster than ever? It's like we're living in a kind of a hyper cognitive overload world where the speed of technology is outpacing the calm that our brains need. And I'm going to use a phrase, an acronym that I'm coining here for the first time ever. I haven't heard it anywhere else. It's HCO, hyper cognitive overload. Yeah, cognitive overload is a problem. That's definitely happening. People just getting overloaded, noisy minds. As a result, you get tired, stressed, you wake up in the middle of the night. But our minds are getting faster, and I'm calling it now, we're moving into this hyper cognitive overload. And neuroscientists estimate that the human brain can consciously process about 40 to 60 bits of information per second, which is about roughly one short sentence a second. But our unconscious or subconscious systems, they're absorbing millions of bits. And when the gap between what we take in and what we can consciously handle gets too big, then huge overwhelm sets in. And I'm seeing that more and more in my clients, in people that I know. I'm seeing it at times even in myself, that I'm having to actually proactively work a little bit harder to calm my mind down. And the reality is, our brains just were not built for this constant stream of data, information, decisions, and digital noise. So the core message that I'm sharing today in this particular episode is that the busier your mind gets, the less effective you become. But we're now moving into an age where your mind is moving into this hyper busy mode. Now, the reality is, if you think about it, say in terms of you getting things done, it's not about how many tasks you do. It's really now very often the mental speed that you're operating at. And when you kind of get into this hyperdrive moment or a experience or mode, hyperdrive mode, you can still get a lot done. But what you're going to find over time is that your fatigue will increase. You find it increasingly hard to switch off. It's almost like you're in a little bit on almost like crack cocaine, even though you're not. Just this hyper mode. And when you push your mind into permanent acceleration, which I think is what's happening, you move from clarity into almost a cognitive blur. So you can think you're being productive, but what's really happening is that we're flooding the prefrontal cortex of our brains. That's the part of your brain that handles focus, creativity, and decision-making. But when that part overheats, when it gets overloaded, your performance and your clarity and your enjoyment, your fulfillment, your sense of being present completely drops. So you don't burn out because you're necessarily weak. You will burn out because your mind has gone into this red zone. It's lost its natural rhythm. And it's lost its natural alternation between focus and recovery. Our brains are built to be focused, but then to have recover. And if we get no recovery, if it's just go, 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 highly revved engine in your mind, that's going to be a problem. And that is the start of burnout. And I think more people than not will actually, I think, resonate with what I'm saying. It may well be you. I ran a workshop recently for the management team of a company. And when I explained my idea of hypercognitive overload, every single person in the room was nodding their head. Not just for themselves. And as we discussed, it wasn't just their teams or themselves. It was their families. It was their kids. It was their partners. Everybody is feeling that mental speed has become unsustainable. If you think about it, emails, WhatsApp messages, Teams, Zoom, meetings, online in the real world, going from one thing to the next, your mind never really gets a chance just to go idle, just to go into neutral gear. And as one leader in that room said to me, it feels like my brain has got about 50 tabs open all the time. That is hypercognitive overload. It's a bit like if you could imagine running on a treadmill that just keeps increasing in speed every couple of minutes. At first it feels like progress, and then you realize you're just sprinting to stay upright. But eventually, even in that scenario, you're going to fall, you're going to crash. And it's not from weakness, it's just from ignoring what's actually happening, ignoring recovery, and just ignoring the reality that you're going too fast for your physical capability. So what's the solution? Well, I think like everything, awareness is the first step. Awareness that you have a problem. You can't fix what you don't see. So once you notice that this is a potential problem, then at least you can go, okay, well, how can I reset it? How can I solve it? Now, what I think what's interesting is there's a lot of research done around highly productive people over the last 15, 20 years. But what you'll see is that the most productive people generally in studies, it'll come across as they work in blocks of time, about say 50 minutes block, a highly intense focused block, very purposeful. But then they deliberately take 10 to 15 minutes of genuine rest, not looking at their phone, not engaged in email. They take a deliberate break and where they fully disconnect their mind. They allow the mind to go into rest. They might take a walk, they might breathe, they might stretch, they might just look out a window. And the pattern is quite simple. It's like the first thing is for the 50 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever it is, very purposeful, intense focus. It's not just drifting around from one thing to the next. It's very focused, like almost like an intense sprint. But then the second step is that they recover deliberately. They figure it out. I'm going to let my mind get some rest. It's a bit like, sprinting and then taking a break and then maybe going again. So the third step is you just repeat, almost as a rhythm. Now that rhythm actually is more natural. It keeps your brain sharp, keeps it oxygenated, keeps it more creative, and it's a much more sustainable approach for getting the best out of yourself. In a way, you could call it, I guess, mental interval training. It's like resistance training for attention. So you're very intense, and then you stop, pause, take a genuine break. So let me ask you a couple of questions. Like, what about you? Like, where is your mind racing faster than it used to, or maybe even where it needs to? And if we looked at your week from above, if we were following you around like a reality TV camera, what would we see? Would we see natural pauses, or would we just see relentless, nonstop, foot to the floor acceleration? What would we actually see? When was the last time that you truly let your mind go into neutral, go into idle mode, like no phone, no scrolling, no input, just being here? And what would happen if you treated mental recovery as seriously as you treat meetings or even exercise, physical exercise? What would happen if you treated your mental recovery as seriously as those things? Before I get into a kind of a takeaway bumper sticker statement to close out, just a little note when I'm recording this, my Limitless online program is on from the 26th November. If you're somebody that hasn't worked with me or somebody that even has worked with me, this is something different. It's something new. It's something highly creative and enjoyable. but it's designed to expand the possibilities within yourself and also to free yourselves from these often unconscious limitations. You can do it from anywhere in the world, and even if you can't attend the sessions live, which would be the preferred way of doing it, you can watch the recordings, and you also get access to an experimental area I've had in the background for the last 18 months, which is my private online community. If you're not in it, you'll get access to that as well, which has got actually quite a few resources in it that you get for free. Anyway, check it out. The link is in the show notes here. So just to close out, if you could remember that a calm mind is actually a high-performing mind. A busy mind is the opposite. And I think in a world that's speeding up, your competitive advantage isn't going to be keeping pace with everybody. It's actually setting your own rhythm where you can you're in it for the long haul. It's a more sustainable model. And the leaders and performers who learn how to slow their minds without losing momentum. So you don't have to lose momentum by slowing your mind. That's, I think, what people are afraid of. So the leaders who learn how to do that will be the ones who think clearer, decide faster, and lead better. They're the leaders of the future. So maybe this week consider protecting your mental rhythm, your mental cadence in a slightly different way. Maybe every 50 minutes, even in the morning time, step off the treadmill of work and productivity and busyness. Pause, breathe, move, let your mind rest, let your mind reset. Because what I'm seeing more and more is that mastering the art of slowing down creates space that brings you into the next level of high performance. That's it for this week. Ciao for now.